Aisling had an incredible 2-day intensive training in Maynooth last Sunday and Monday, and this is to use her machine in nano machine hair stroke technique, whereby the strokes are wider apart and there is more of a natural flow to the strokes. Now this suits certain clients and it's going to suit somebody, maybe you. So it is, Aisling delivers her technique by micropigmentation, so misty brows, as in powder brows, and now this nano hair stroke technique. And I deliver microblading, which is a handheld tool, not a machine, and blade and shade, which is microblading and shading. And it's very dependent on the client's skin as to which of the techniques that we use. In fact, microblading is what everybody, when they come in, they say, oh, I want microblading. And it's kind of a blanket term that's being used for a tattoo. So microblading is a tattoo, micropigmentation is a tattoo, nanostrokes is a tattoo, they're all tattoos. So when microblading came to the Western world about 18 years ago, now it's in Ireland about 15 years maybe, and I'm doing it 11 of those years. Microblading was the only technique that was available to learn at the time, and then the machine powder brow came in, and then as time went on and as more and more trainings continued on, we were learning that microblading is not for everybody's skin, so therefore they were suggesting blade and shade technique, and so we did that. And then as time went on, it's a bit like the face creams of long ago, that, you know, the new latest innovative technology. It's ongoing education with us, because the longer I'm doing this work, the more I'm discovering that we're having certain skins are just not receiving microblading very well, or blade and shade either. And that's why it's so important that ongoing education in this industry has to be attended. And before COVID, I used to go to 2 masterclasses per year. Some of them were in Rotterdam, a lot of them were in the rest of Europe, and of course I used to do a couple of them in the States as well. And you know, in that time, the blades have gotten finer, the pigment is more formulated to Caucasian skin, which is white skin, our skin, and the machines and the techniques are also changing ongoingly. And something that's coming up a lot is why clients would oftentimes come to us with just sudden hair loss, which would be a total mystery. So that's not normal skin, and that's not normal either. And conditions like keratosis pilaris is something that I've only learned about in the last couple of months, and I'm actually kind of going, oh my God. So today's topic is dealing with difficult skins and why they may or may not accept the pigment of the microblading process that we do when they come to us for a treatment. One of those, that's why her skin is so bumpy, or that's why the pigment didn't retain in the fashion that we wanted, or there's a reason for, and there's lots of reasons that skin is suboptimal for any sort of tattoo. But now between the 4 techniques that we have, that it is some one of the techniques is actually going to suit you. So if microblading wasn't for you, well then, you know, maybe the misty powder brow that Aisling does may be for you ongoingly. And they're all still tattoos. So yeah, so we're learning all the time, and ongoing education is, like, we used to do it in nursing all the time anyway. So you're all the time wanting to learn. And when you actually reach obstacles in your career, or my permanent makeup career, that we learn how to overcome them, and it's getting better all the time. So between us now, we can nearly handle every request or situation, be it misty powder brow, hair stroke technique, or so on. But, you know, as time goes on, there are, you know, more and more clients coming to us with medical reasons as to why they've lost their eyebrows. And so we have to do the whole holistic intake and do a full screen and questionnaire and explain to the client that it's not a one and done and a guaranteed process. Our skin is a organ. It's a very unpredictable organ at that. And there are times that I actually, would do a treatment on a client and say, oh my God, it was just a perfect treatment. For example, I'm going to show you a case study here. So I'm going to show you a really young girl in her 20s, healthy as, in fact, she's a personal trainer and she's very involved in nutrition, and had, poor quality brow, had been coming to me for years for styling. And when I did my training years ago, I actually had said to her, well, will you be interested in being my model? And she said, oh my God, I would. So I did the treatment on her as I was taught how to do. And when she came back for step 2, there was no retention, nothing, nada, zilcho. And I remember at the time thinking, oh my God, I'm not very good at this. I did my training and I was doing everything as I was asked to do in my training. And it came back to me, nothing retained, nothing. I couldn't even see the hair strokes. I couldn't even see a shadow. So we did step 2 on her. And when she came back for her review 8 weeks later, there was still nothing retained. Now, sadly, this happened to me in the early days of my PMU career, and at the time I thought it was me. And what I hadn't really realised at the time was that it was her skin and it was her body, or there was something going on in her body at the time. I was absolutely rejecting the pigment. And like, she was so lovely and so gorgeous, but I ran into her again in the last year or so. And I met her on the street and I said, oh my God, will we give it another go? Sure, it's worth a try. And she came, she had it done again, still very young, still very healthy, so no obvious reason. But we did the treatment and we did it a second time. And absolutely, we did blade and shade this time round and nothing retained. So that is totally unexplained. And in the 11 years I'm doing this, 2 clients this has happened to. 2. Oh, Instagram has gotten a little bit darker, is it? Anyway, so I mean, in this length of time, I am discovering that even with all the education that we're doing, that we are going to come across clients with difficult skin. We're going to come across clients that have issues. We're going to come across. I don't have all the answers either, and that is what is so great about ongoing education. Yes, I'm at it 11 years, and even there's been occasions that even I've been stumped on clients that haven't retained, the pigment hasn't retained as we might like. But with 4 different techniques now, I am hoping that one of them will suit you. So now with the screening process, we are now advising clients that it's not a guarantee. The skin is unpredictable, and there's been times clients have come back to me and it's been sort of funny, bumpy skin, and I thought, oh my God, like it's going to come back quite faded or patchy, and it didn't. So even I can't predict the results. And the consent form, just to remind you from the outset, there's a section here that says that there's no guarantees have been made to me concerning the results of this procedure. So we've had to, this has been in consent forms from the get-go. From my consent form hasn't changed in any way. But we have to cover ourselves in relation that there are no guarantees in this work. And so, you take, I take a risk in taking you on. You take a risk in it being a successful treatment. So besides the 2 clients that nothing has retained, which is like has me totally baffled because the treatment was perfect. But there are people with difficult skins and there are challenging skins, and there's times I can overcome them, and then there's times I just can't, and we just have to call it a day. So that doesn't happen very often. 98%, 99% of my clients have had very successful treatment, and the outcome has been very successful and satisfactory. And either way, once you have a shape on your eyebrows, it's an improvement than what you already have. And the other thing as well is that like having an eyebrow tattoo is not a no maintenance thing. It's actually low maintenance. Because the work we do is actually under the skin. So sometimes you might need to actually pop on a little bit of pencil over your eyebrows just to freshen them up. Because it's very dependent on your skin and how it lays down the new skin in the healing process. So just to remind you of the technique that I do microblading and I do blade and shade technique. And, you know, for the most part, it's a very successful treatment. And Aisling's treatments are, for the most part, successful also. And for the joy that we have of clients who leave here with happy brows. Actually, there's one, I was going through photographs this morning. There's one lady who came with a very low set of brows last summer. And we raised them and we gave her a happy brow. And so we had tears of absolute joy in here. And so it's a bit like the labour ward. You know, there's, for the most part, it's a happy day. And then there's very occasionally that there is retention of pigment that we mightn't be as happy with, and we just have to sort of just call it a day. And we'd advise at times like that to just let your eyebrows alone for 18 months, 2 years. Let them fade right off, and then you can come back and actually start and either have a misty brow done by Nurse Aisling, or you could have a blade and shade technique done by me. So yeah, so we're not robots. Our skin isn't robots. It's not an exact science. Our skin is unpredictable. And interestingly enough, I had a client yesterday who had the most gorgeous skin all her life. And in the last year, she's literally covered in bumps, a woman in her 50s. And she has, it's almost as if she's had, a very inflamed response to something that she's either wearing on her skin or whatever. And she had said that it was totally explained. So it can happen at any point that your skin can change. And, I have no control over that. Now, I did advise her to go and have a consultation with Sharna to see if her products just weren't suiting her skin. Anyway, so I don't know why I'm down that rabbit hole today. I suppose it's about ongoing education. And learning new techniques. I literally only do eyebrows. I know that people had said to me in the past, would I do eyeliner and maybe lip blush and nipple tattoo? But I've decided way back the day that I wanted to do one thing and do it really well. So that's why I gobble up all the information. And then when Aisling came on, she's 12 years younger than me, and she is, after bringing 2 new techniques to Browtique Ireland and to her own business as well, and like that's been an ultimate gift. And down the line this year then the nipple and areola tattoo is going to be added into that repertoire. I will be doing the training, but I won't be doing it. I just want to attend it and just to see what it's all about. But Aisling is just going to be anybody who has got had a mastectomy and breast reconstruction, that we can now match the other side with a nipple tattoo, which looks like the other side. And what a gift that's going to be for anybody who's had a breast reconstruction done. Right, okay, I better get into scrubs.